I'm Nora, I'm 44. And at my sister's funeral, while I held the twins I'd raised since they were newborns, a man I'd never seen walked up to the grave. He said he was their father, the twins' father, and he had proof. DNA, photographs, love letters from 19 years ago. What he didn't know, what no one knew, is that I'd found those letters a decade ago. I'd burned them, because the truth they contained was worse than any affair. The truth was that my sister never wanted to be a mother, and that I never had the choice not to be one. I was 25 when my twin sister Liliana showed up at my apartment with 2 infant carriers and a diagnosis. Postpartum depression, the doctor said. Severe. She'd stopped eating. She'd stopped sleeping. She'd stared at the twins for hours without touching them. Just for a few weeks, she said. Until I'm myself again. She was a doctor, a surgeon, the brilliant one. I was a second-grade teacher, the reliable one, the one who was always available. I said yes before I understood the question. The twins were named Lucas and Valentina. They were 6 weeks old, small, with Liliana's dark eyes and a cry that synchronized like they were one creature. I'd never held a baby before. Liliana showed me how to mix formula, how to test the temperature on my wrist, how to burp them against my shoulder. Then she left. She kissed their foreheads, she kissed mine, and she drove back to her residency 3 hours away. A few weeks became months. Liliana visited every other weekend at first, then monthly. Then she missed Christmas because of an emergency surgery. Then she missed their first birthday because of a conference in Denver. Then she stopped calling, and I stopped expecting her to. I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment near my school. I converted the living room into a nursery. I learned to change 2 diapers simultaneously, to feed 2 bottles in a rocking chair to distinguish their cries. Lucas was sharp, immediate, Valentina was softer, building like a wave. I didn't sleep through the night for 3 years. I didn't date. I didn't go out. My mother visited twice a month, always praising Liliana's sacrifice as a working mother, always noting how lucky the twins were to have me as support. I found the letter when the twins were 4. I was cleaning Liliana's old bedroom at our mother's house, preparing it for a guest who never came. It was in a shoebox under the bed, beneath a stack of medical journals and a bottle of perfume I'd given her that she'd never opened. The letter was dated 2 months after the twins were born. Addressed to our mother. Asterisk, I can't do this. I look at them and I feel nothing. Not love, not connection, just obligation and dread. If it weren't for the pressure, for what everyone expects, I would have given them up. Nora is better at this. She always wanted children even if she won't admit it. Let her have them. I'll visit. I'll play the role. But I can't be their mother. I don't want to be anyone's mother. Asterisk, I read it 3 times. Then I took it to the backyard, to the fire pit my father had built before he died, and I burned it. I watched the paper curl and blacken. I watched Liliana's handwriting disappear. And I told myself I was protecting the twins. I was protecting myself. I was protecting something that couldn't survive the truth. I went back to the apartment. Lucas had a fever. Valentina was crying because she dropped her stuffed rabbit behind the couch. I held them both. I sang the song I'd made up about a rabbit who lived in the moon, and I decided that the letter had never existed. That version of Liliana had never existed. The Liliana who visited monthly, who brought expensive gifts, who took photographs for Instagram with captions about my beautiful babies. That was the real one. The one I needed to be real. The twins started school. I quit my teaching job and became a private tutor, working from home, scheduling around their needs. I told myself it was temporary, that when they were older I'd go back, I'd date, I'd have my own life. But the years accumulated like sediment. Lucas learned to read at 4, Valentina at 5. Lucas was good at math, at building things, at taking apart clocks and putting them back together wrong. Valentina was good at stories, at drawing, at making her stuffed animals talk to each other in voices she'd invented. I knew them completely. I knew that Lucas couldn't sleep without the closet light on. I knew that Valentina's stomach hurt before she cried. I knew their teachers, their doctors, their friends' parents, their fears about the dark and their dreams about flying. Liliana visited less. She finished her residency, she started a fellowship, she got married to a cardiologist named Richard who I met twice. She posted photographs of surgical victories, of vacations in Bali, of a life that looked nothing like motherhood. When she visited, the twins called her Mommy because I'd taught them to. They hugged her, they showed her their drawings, they performed for her. Then she left, and they asked when she'd be back, and I said soon while knowing she wouldn't be. I was 35 when a man named David asked me to marry him. He was a plumber, kind, patient, good at fixing things that broke. He'd known me for 2 years, known the twins for 1. He said we could be a family. He said we could have more children his own together. I said maybe when the twins are older. He waited another year. Then he left. I didn't tell the twins why. I said he moved for work. Valentina cried for a week. Lucas didn't cry, but he stopped taking apart clocks. I found the second letter when the twins were 12. Liliana had left her email open on my computer during a visit and a notification popped up. I shouldn't have read it. I did. It was to Richard, her husband or ex-husband by then, I couldn't keep track. She wrote, "Nora has completely taken over. The twins barely know me. She wanted this. She chose this and now she acts like some martyr. I can't wait until they are 18 and I can be free of this charade." I didn't burn this one. I printed it. I folded it. I put it in a file cabinet with my tax returns and the twins' vaccination records. I looked at it sometimes, late at night when I couldn't sleep. I looked at it when Liliana called to cancel a visit, when she forgot a birthday, when she sent a gift card instead of coming to Lucas's middle school graduation. I looked at it and I told myself that wanting this and having no choice were different things, that loving the twins didn't mean I hadn't lost something, that being a good mother didn't mean I wasn't angry. The twins were 18 when Liliana died. She was driving alone at 3 a.m. on a highway 2 hours from the city where she lived alone. The autopsy said alcohol, and recreational substances said she was 8 weeks pregnant. No one knew about a boyfriend. No one knew about anything. The hospital called me because I was listed as emergency contact. I'd been listed for 18 years. I planned the funeral. I chose the music, something classical. Liliana would have wanted that. I chose the flowers, white lilies, ironic, unavoidable. I called her colleagues, her friends, the people who knew her as the brilliant surgeon, the traveler, the woman who sacrificed so much for her career. No one mentioned the twins. No one asked about them. They were an afterthought in their mother's life and they were an afterthought in her death. The funeral was on a Thursday. The twins stood on either side of me, holding my hands. Lucas was taller than me now, studying engineering. Valentina was in art school, painting things I didn't always understand but always praised. They were beautiful, they were whole. They were mine in every way that mattered. And then the man approached. He was 50, maybe, with gray at his temples and a suit that fit well. He stood at the edge of the grave, waiting for the priest to finish. Then he stepped forward. "I'm Martin," he said. "I knew Liliana a long time ago." He looked at the twins, at Lucas's jaw, at Valentina's eyes. I didn't know about them. I swear I didn't know. She never told me. He had a folder. He'd brought it to a funeral, like a business proposal. DNA test results, comparing his sample to hair he'd obtained from Liliana's brush at the hospital. Photographs from 19 years ago, Liliana young, smiling, standing on a beach with this man. Letters, handwritten, the kind of letters people write when they think no one will ever read them. "I want to know them," Martin said. "I'm not trying to take anything from you, I just want to know my children." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because I was holding the folder, and I was seeing the dates on the photographs, and I was calculating. 19 years ago, the twins were 18. The math was simple. The math was devastating. I went through Liliana's things that night. Our mother helped or tried to. She was 70, frail, still talking about Liliana's brilliant future in the past tense. I sent her to bed. I searched alone. In a safety deposit box key I'd found in Liliana's jewelry case. In a bank I'd never heard of, I found the second will, dated 2 years ago. She'd left everything to a cat rescue foundation in Bali. Nothing to the twins, nothing to me, nothing to our mother, and a sealed envelope addressed to Martin with instructions to deliver upon her death. I opened it. I shouldn't have. I did. Asterisk Martin, if you find this, the twins are yours. They always were. I never wanted children. I never wanted this life. Nora took them because she wanted them more than I wanted freedom. She's a good mother. Better than I would have been. But they are yours by blood, and if you want them, you have every right. I'm sorry for the lie. I was sorry for everything. Asterisk I sat with that letter for 3 hours. I sat with it until the sun came up, until the twins woke up and Valentina made coffee and Lucas asked if I was okay. I said yes. I said I was tired. I said funeral planning was exhausting. I didn't say that their mother had just confessed from beyond death that she'd never wanted them. That she'd given them away twice, once to me, once to silence. That the only reason I'd raised them was because she couldn't bear to, and I couldn't bear to let them go. Martin called the next day. He wanted to meet the twins. He wanted to tell them himself. He was gentle, respectful, careful. He said he understood I'd been their mother. He said he didn't want to replace me. He just wanted to know them. I said yes. I don't know why. Maybe because the letter had unmanned me. Maybe because I wanted the twins to see what their mother had chosen, what she'd hidden, what she'd valued more than their existence. Maybe because I was tired of being the only one who knew the truth, and I wanted to share the burden even if it broke everything. We met at a restaurant. Martin told them. He was careful, kind, full of apologies for the absence he couldn't have prevented. The twins listened. Lucas was silent. Valentina cried, then they asked questions, about their mother, about the affair, about why she'd never told them. Martin answered what he could. He didn't know much. He'd known her for 6 months. She'd left without explanation. He'd spent 19 years not knowing he had children. Then Lucas asked the question I was waiting for. Why didn't Mom tell us? Why did she let us think she was our mother when she didn't want us? I had the answer. I'd had it for a decade. I could have told them about the first letter, about the fire, about the choice I'd made to protect them from knowing they were unwanted. I could have told them that I'd burned the evidence of their mother's rejection, that I'd constructed a lie so complete that even I sometimes believed it. But I didn't, because I was angry. Because I was 44 years old, and I had given everything to these children, and I had nothing that was only mine. Because the twins were looking at me with something new in their eyes, suspicion, or something close to it, and I realized that Liliana had been poisoning them slowly, across years, across visits I'd never witnessed. Your mother told me things, Lucas said. She said you were obsessive, that you never let us have our own lives, that you chose to take us, that nobody forced you, and that you acted like a martyr about it. Valentina nodded. She didn't look at me. She said you pushed her out, that you wanted to be the only mother, that you made her feel guilty for working, for having a career. I felt the floor tilt. I felt the restaurant become very small or very large or both at once. I looked at Martin, who was watching with the helpless expression of a man who'd arrived in the middle of a movie and couldn't find his seat. I found a letter. I said, my voice sounded like someone else's. When you were 4, your mother wrote to our mother. She said she didn't want you. She said she would have given you up for adoption if it weren't for the pressure. She said I was better at this and she let me have you because she didn't want the burden. The twins stared at me. Lucas's face was white. Valentina's hands were shaking. I burned it, I said. I burned it because I thought you were too young, because I thought I was protecting you, because I loved you and I didn't want you to know that your mother looked at you and felt nothing. And the second letter? Lucas asked. The one in the safety deposit box, the one she wrote to him. He pointed at Martin. Did you burn that too? I hadn't. I'd read it and I'd kept it and I'd brought it to this restaurant in my purse without knowing why. I have it, I said. Read it, Valentina said. Read it now. I did. I read Liliana's words, her confession, her apology for the lie. I read that the twins were Martin's by blood, that she'd never wanted them, that she'd given them to me because she wanted freedom more than she wanted them. I read it in a voice that didn't shake, that didn't break, that sounded like a teacher reading a lesson she'd memorized. When I finished, no one spoke. The restaurant continued around us, people eating, talking, living lives that hadn't just been dismantled by dead women's words. Then Lucas stood up. He looked at Martin. You didn't know, I believe that, but you didn't raise us. You didn't stay up with fevers, you didn't teach us to read, you didn't hold us when we cried. You have DNA, she has everything else. He looked at me. You lied to us. For 14 years, you knew our mother didn't want us and you lied. You let us think we were loved by her. You let us blame ourselves for why she never visited. You made us perform for her, call her mommy, act grateful for gifts she bought at the airport on her way to see us. You knew the truth and you decided we couldn't handle it. I was protecting you, I said, but my voice was small now. You were protecting yourself, Lucas said, from being the only one who loved us. From having to admit that you chose this, that you wanted this, that you made yourself a martyr and then resented us for not being grateful enough. He walked out. Martin followed. Or tried to. Lucas shook him off. Valentina stayed. She was crying, but she was looking at me with something that wasn't quite forgiveness and wasn't quite blame. I would have wanted to know, she said. Even at 4, even at 6, even at 10, I would have wanted to know that it wasn't my fault, that she didn't leave because I wasn't good enough, because I didn't love her right. I thought, I started. I know what you thought, Valentina said. I know you thought you were being kind, but kindness without truth is just control, and you've controlled everything for so long that we don't know how to live without your version of the story. She stood up. She kissed my forehead the way I'd kissed hers 1,000 times. I need space, she said. I need to figure out who I am without your narrative, without her narrative, without any narrative that isn't mine. She left. Martin stayed. He sat across from me, the folder of proof between us, and he said, I'm sorry, for all of it, for knowing her, for not knowing about them, for showing up at a funeral with DNA tests. I'm sorry. I looked at him. She didn't want them. She didn't want me. She didn't want any of this. And I spent 18 years pretending she did, because the alternative was admitting that I was raising children who had no one but me. And I was afraid that wasn't enough. Martin was quiet for a long time, then he said, "It was enough, it is enough, but you have to let them tell you that, you can't decide it for them." I went home alone. The apartment was empty in a way it hadn't been since the twins were born. I walked through Lucas's room, still full of half-built machines and books about space. I walked through Valentina's room, walls covered in paintings she'd made, some of me, some of her, some of a family that looked nothing like ours. I sat on the floor between their beds and I cried for the first time since I was 25, since the night Liliana left me with 2 infants, and a lie I didn't know I was living. The twins didn't speak to me for 3 months. Lucas moved in with Martin, who had a house, money, a willingness to listen without needing to be right. Valentina moved into a dormitory at her art school, changed her phone number, sent me emails that were polite and distant, like correspondence with a distant aunt. I saw a therapist, I told her everything. The letters, the fire, the choice to protect, the resentment I hadn't admitted, the martyr complex Lucas had named. She asked me what I wanted. I said I wanted the twins to forgive me. She asked what I wanted if they didn't. I didn't have an answer. I found the answer in a drawing. Valentina had left it in her room, face down under her bed, dated from when she was 16. It was me, holding 2 infants, with a crown of thorns that wasn't quite a crown, that looked more like a halo made of barbed wire. The title in her small handwriting, Saint Nora, Patron of Unwanted Children. I understood then. I'd made myself a saint, and saints aren't human. Saints don't get angry, don't get tired, don't want things for themselves. I'd spent 18 years performing sainthood, and the twins had learned to worship me instead of loving me. Because worship is distance, and love is proximity, and I'd kept them at the distance of altars and sacrifices. I wrote them letters. Real letters, handwritten, mailed with stamps. I told them I was angry. I told them I was tired. I told them I'd wanted a life of my own and had chosen theirs instead, and that I sometimes resented them for my own choices. I told them I'd burn the first letter not to protect them, but to protect myself from being the only one who loved them, from the terror that love wouldn't be enough. I told them I'd been wrong, not about loving them, about hiding that love was hard, that it cost me, that it wasn't the effortless thing I'd pretended it was. Lucas called me first. He was crying, which I'd never heard. He said Martin was kind, was trying, was patient. But Martin didn't know that Lucas couldn't sleep without the closet light on. Didn't know that Lucas's first word was Teta because Valentina couldn't say Tia, and it became their private language for me. Didn't know that Lucas had built a machine in my garage when he was 14, a perpetual motion device that didn't work, and that I'd kept it on my desk for 4 years because he'd made it for me. "I don't want to replace you," he said. "I don't want to choose. But I need you to be real. I need you to be a person who makes mistakes, not a saint who never did." Valentina came home next. She didn't move back in. She visited. She brought her paintings. She showed me new ones of a woman who looked like me but wasn't wearing a halo, who was sitting on a kitchen floor crying while 2 teenagers stood in the doorway watching. "I painted this after I got your letter," she said. "I didn't know you could cry. I didn't know you were allowed." We built something new, not the same, never the same. Lucas visits twice a week. He brings his girlfriend, a mechanical engineer who asks me about the twins' childhood and listens when I answer. Valentina lives in an apartment now, 20 minutes away. She comes for dinner on Sundays. She still paints me, but now I'm cooking or reading or sleeping on the couch with a book on my chest. Human things, imperfect things. Martin and I have coffee sometimes. We don't talk about Liliana. We talk about the twins, about his late wife, about the children we both failed in different ways. He's not their father to me, he's their biology, I'm their history, and history is heavier and harder and more real. I adopted the twins legally when they were 8. Liliana signed the papers, smiled for the camera, went back to her fellowship. I told the twins it was to make things easier for school. The truth was that I wanted them to be mine in a way that couldn't be taken back. I wanted a document that said I was their mother, even if their blood said otherwise. I have that document still. It's in the same file cabinet as the burned letters' ashes, which I saved without knowing why. I know now. I saved them because they're part of the story. The story of a woman who chose to be a mother because someone else wouldn't, and who spent 18 years pretending that choice was easy, was selfless, was saintly. The truth is harder. The truth is that I wanted them. The truth is that I was terrified of wanting them. The truth is that love and resentment can coexist, that motherhood is not purity, that I am not a saint and never was. If someone raised you and never told you it was hard, hear me. It was hard. It was the hardest thing they ever did. And the fact that they hid the difficulty doesn't mean they regretted it. It means they loved you enough to want you to feel wanted, even when the wanting cost them everything they thought they'd be. That's my story. If it spoke to you, comment below. If you're still learning that the people who raised you were human, tell me. I'll read every word. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.